Assembly Speaker Toni Atkins, good seeing you again.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Peggy.
Now, California's regular legislative session ended last Friday, leaving dozens of bills on the governor's desk to sign. One is the Right to Die bill that passed the Senate with a 23-14 vote. Remind us of what that bill is.
Well, it basically gives a terminally ill patient the right to make a decision of how they end their lives with their doctor.
And do you support the bill, or do you think the governor will sign it?
Well, I support the bill, and I think what became evident during the discussion is that so many people have stories. I have my own story. My mother, I sat with her for 2 weeks. She had terminal cancer, and so certainly a lot of us bring our personal stories to bear. I don't know what the governor will do. I think, but he has a very deliberative and thoughtful process. I know he takes this issue very seriously, and so I think right now you're going to find that everybody's reaching out to him to let him know what they think.
All right. Now, last week, Governor Brown agreed to drop the requirement for a 50% reduction of petroleum use in vehicles. That's on the state climate action bill. Do you think this final version of the bill will last? Do you think it has teeth?
Oh, SB 350 is significant climate change legislation. I think everyone started to focus on the one piece that was taken longer or may take longer, the fuels piece, to move forward on. But 50% renewable portfolio energy resources is pretty significant. It's an aggressive goal. Right now we're at 33%. This is 50% by 2030. We're also talking about energy efficiency up and down the state and our buildings to make our energy grid more productive, efficient. Those are significant pieces of legislation, not just for the state, for the country, but also we're recognized in the world for our aggressive approach to this. So I think we focused on the piece we didn't get. We should be focusing on the significant landmark legislation.
The two pieces that still remain. Now, California voters also approved the use of medical marijuana nearly 20 years ago. Right. There's new legislation about that. The governor himself helped with that package. Right. What would that package of legislation do?
Well, it basically sets up a bureau and regulations to overall regulate medical marijuana. This is something that should have happened decades ago. It's been very hard for the state to come together and regulate this. It's about time. So we had input from law enforcement, patient advocates, dispensaries. So this was a multi-year work in progress. 7 members from the Senate and the Assembly and the governor's office. So it's about time, and I think this is finally time that we have this in place.
Now let's talk about you. You've been Assembly Speaker since 2014, but recently Assemblyman Anthony Rendon was elected to replace you as Speaker. You asked for that vote to be delayed. How come?
Well, I wanted us not to be distracted by a speakership campaign the last 2 weeks of session. There was discussion that we would do this in January, and all of the candidates agreed, but it was a natural progression. It happened when I transitioned into Speaker with the former Speaker John Perez, and so in order to keep us focused on the work that we needed to do, I moved the timeline up and said we need to go ahead and do this so our last week can be productive. So right. I am still the Speaker. There's one Speaker at a time. We're looking at early spring for
that transition.
And so between now and then, we've got special session, transportation, healthcare. There's still a great deal of work.
Sure, and that's because you're terming out at the end of 2016. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this. So are you running against California Senator Marty Block? Do you have plans to do so?
Well, I will say this. That's a decision I have to make. I have found that the best way that I think I can fight for San Diego is in the state capitol. I went to Sacramento to work on affordable housing, and in that time period, being the majority leader, becoming Speaker, a relationship with the governor, I really think that I am most effective at the state capitol. So certainly that's a decision I have to make and to come, but in the meantime, I still have a lot that I can do as Speaker in Sacramento for San Diego.
So that being said, then are you saying you're not going to run for mayor against Kevin Faulconer?
Well, I think I've already said that multiple times. Publicly, on air. I think I said it at KPBS on one of the radio show a while ago. But again, I want to focus on the work that I can do for San Diego in Sacramento. I don't think you give up that opportunity. I think I've been pretty successful on behalf of San Diego during my time in Sacramento. for San Diego, and I want to continue to do that.
All right, California Assembly Speaker Toni Atkins, thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.